This program is sponsored by TechTime Radio. Visit them online at techtimeradio.com.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week, the show for the everyday person, talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host and technologist with over 30 years of technology expertise. Our co-host Mike Raday is in studio today. Mike's an award-winning author and a human behavior expert. Now, of course, we are live streaming during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to visit us online at techtimeradio.com and become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/TechTime Radio. We are all friends from different backgrounds, but we bring the best technology show possible weekly for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. We're glad to have Odie, our producer, at the control panel today. Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
All right, on today's show, we got lots that we're going to be covering today. We essentially have Nick Espinosa joining us. We're going to be talking about black holes. We're going to be talking about what's going on with Apple and what is from week 1 to week 2. We had Apple last week get in trouble for essentially coming up with a bunch of...
Apple didn't get in trouble. Elon got upset about
Apple started using some AI stuff that Elon wasn't happy with. But this week we're going to be talking about Apple, and we're going to be talking about something that they do a lot, which is they take technology from somebody else, they wrap it into their operating system, and then essentially it becomes no longer a commercial product for that company. It's called Sherlocking. So we're going to be talking about that.
Doesn't everybody do that?
Well, so
isn't that Facebook's main thing?
Well, isn't that Microsoft's main thing too? I think they all kind of have that. So I know that this is sad for software companies. We're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm kind of split on the fence. I understand Apple does this all the time. They don't hide that they literally tell people that they will do this.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Then, of course, we have our whiskey connoisseur in studio today. Mark Gregoire is going to give us a whiskey to taste, and this is a pretty big boy. This came in a own casket for this whiskey, so we're excited about that. We have
came in a casket.
Well, this is not a casket. It looks like a casket right here.
That's not a casket.
What is that? A box? Well, no, it's a casket. Come on, it sits on top. You put it in, you lay it down. A casket for our...
You don't take it out back and bury it in your backyard.
Well, you maybe could. And then we're also going to be talking about some security breaches. Nick's on, so we're going to be talking about his favorite countries, Russia and China. Those are like his 2 best buddies that are on there. We have, of course, lots of different items. And I don't want to spoil it too much, so let's just move right on now to start with our top technology stories.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right. Story number 1. What happened when Apple makes your app obsolete? This is called Sherlocking. Let's go to Karen Westland for more on this story.
Apple has long faced complaints of Sherlocking, the practice of taking a good idea and putting it into its operating system. Sherlocking dates back to the 1990s, when Apple introduced a desktop search tool called Sherlock, similar to another third-party desktop search program known as Watson. Since then, the term has stuck. Tape-a-Call is one of the most popular call recording apps, with millions of users paying a monthly fee to capture a phone conversation with the click of a button. But now a part of Apple's new operating system, iOS 18, this transcription service will be for free and seamlessly integrated into phone calls on the iPhone. This will also be able to access back-end code that Tape-a-Call, as a third-party app, does not have access to. Is this a fair practice? That is something that will make you go,
right, so let's
Does
talk
it
about
really
this.
make you go,
Well, it kind of does. So Tape-A-Call's annual subscription, they have 1 million users, is $79.99. So times that by 1 million, that's a pretty good chunk of change, right? Tape-A-Call's essentially is game over on what's happening from Apple because Apple is providing everything that Tape-A-Call does. Now, Tape-A-Call is a software where you can load on your phone, and if you're on a conversation with somebody, you're supposed to let them know and announce that you're taping their call, but it's not essentially that. Essentially, they are listening to the conversation. You have it then to retrieve it at another time, have that taken care of. Apple's developers are essentially coming up with a way where they're just putting that in to the iPhone iOS system 18. Now, Apple also has the ability to use their backend code, all the information that they have available within of the Apple ecosystem to make it even better than this app. And essentially, the app is no longer going to work. So Schumacher.
so the app, the original app isn't going to work?
Well, there's no reason that it'll still work, but it's not going to work it's going to be less efficient than it is now because Apple's feature is going to be able to do exactly what it does, plus give you additional analytics and information because it has access to their back.
Is this something that would have been in the Apple store that you would have
That is correct.
bought?
This is how people buy it. So this is not the first time, and that's why this is kind of now known in Apple world as Sherlocking, where Apple will see a great app in their store, and small developers worry about this all the time, that if they put a great app out there, Apple can see the statistics of how many people download it, what the people are paying for. They can see, wow, if they have 1 million users and they're paying $79 a month or $79 a year to use this service, that's a lot of money that they're making. Maybe we should incorporate that in. Then the app developer essentially has nothing they can do because if they complain to Apple, then Apple will delist them from their store. If you say, hey, Apple, I think you're stealing my information, then they'll delist you. So as a small web developer or an app developer, you have to worry about this happening all the time. This is not the first time, second time.
Apple technically just looks around, finds sails around the ocean.
Yep.
Finds things that they like, and then pirates it.
Well, they wouldn't pirate it. They develop it for
their
their system. Yeah, but they develop it because they have the ecosystem, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And what's interesting is executives that have left Apple say this happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Steve Jobs famously said he's always, I will always be shameless about stealing great ideas. I know Microsoft has done this for stealing ideas too, and they put it into their operating system.
Facebook does it too. We talk about this all the time. Everybody's stealing from everybody.
So is this bad as an independent developer? Are you upset? Or should the developer be upset?
I think they should be. Because I think instead of creating something that blasts that out of the water, they could offer to buy that system from that company.
Okay. Remember Massimo? We talked about it earlier last year. They had to stop the sales of the iPhone because it had the regulator with the blood pressure in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another company that had a third-party application that they're working on. Apple goes in and hires 2 of their top executives. All of a sudden, develops the same information.
Greedy corporations do, right? They find a way to get what they want, and then they manipulate the system to get it.
So is Apple any worse than Microsoft or Facebook?
I don't think anyone's worse than other, but they certainly they take this stuff. We all know that businesses exist to make money.
Yeah,
a business is nothing more than a money generator for the people that own the business.
Right.
And if you can get away with something that may be unethical, most people probably would. Okay. And the tech industry is the Wild West.
It is.
And so, this is not something that I think should surprise anybody. Is it concerning? Yeah, it's concerning. Because if you're trying to make it in the tech world and you've got this little idea and this little app and you put it on their website and suddenly they look at it and go, oh, we like that. They can just steal it and
put it into the code.
Put you out of work.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Without thought. But, YouTube can do that at any time too.
So
yep. And so
we broadcast on YouTube. They can choose to shut us down at any time, and all the work and effort. Then,
in fact, I think we did a story about
a guy that happened.
YouTuber that
I talked with a technologist today. He's going to be on our show coming on up. He's lives over in France. He goes between France and London.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting. I can't wait to have him on. Also, he is starting a coalition of when like these small companies, so this happens specifically about this, a small company gets breached by a larger company, where some type of recourse is available in a legal system with legal attorneys and besides the standard attorneys specifically designed for, I made a product, I made an intellectual property product, I made something that was a technology product and it got taken care of, and he's trying to build a whole firm about just suing the big boys when they take these small companies out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. This is the same problem that we're having all over the tech industry with laws being so far behind the development of all this tech that they can't do anything.
That is correct. All right, story number 2. Odie, you're up.
Did you know that on average, teens in the U.S. are spending nearly 5 hours on social media every single day?
So explain that to me. I saw that stat too.
Yeah.
How's that 5 hours?
It's called doom scrolling.
What is
So of those 5 hours,
yeah?
3 of the, if you know, those who spend 3 or more hours a day on social
3
media
hours
have double the risk of mental health problems like depression and anxiety.
Okay.
So because of this, the Surgeon General of the U.S. is having a call to action to our lawmakers and to encourage legislation that puts on a warning label to our social media platforms, just like tobacco.
Is it going to be a sticker that's on your phone?
So I kind of you missed last night. I went off on this subject.
I was going to talk about this.
Okay. How good does that surgeon warning do when you're buying a cigarette and it has this thing on there?
It doesn't work. Well, there's plenty. Well, I didn't really dig into the research, but I dug into the research enough to see that it has an effect on behavior change in a very limited short term, but it doesn't have lasting behavior change.
The article does state that from the data that we have, quote, the data that we have from the experience, particularly from tobacco labels, shows us that these can be actually effective in increasing awareness and in changing behavior, but they need to be coupled with real life changes like the platforms themselves.
Yeah, that's kind of what they do increase awareness and they can change things. The research that I said that it affected 52% of tobacco users basically cutting down on tobacco for 7 days.
Okay. Well, so you know that they do this
over the long term. It doesn't do it.
They do this for beer too. You know that,
yeah,
right?
They do it.
You can't. You cannot drink beer in a commercial.
You
cannot show yourself drinking beer.
No, that's why we don't see signs with tobacco products on it anymore. But this is all. You know. This doesn't substantially work for behavior.
Keep on going, Odie.
So the Surgeon General is recommending that they call for legislation, including regulating what kids can be exposed to, and waiting until after, like setting ages for it. So waiting until after middle school to let kids have social media pages, using text messages as the only kind of form of communication between kids and parents and kids amongst themselves.
So we're back to a Motorola Razr phone.
And maintaining phone-free zones around bedtime meals and social gatherings.
Okay.
That's what is recommended.
All right, so let me ask
you. Is that the warning label? Is that what the...
No. That's just what the Surgeon General is recommending to legislators.
Okay.
So isn't this putting a warning label on essentially online speech?
You know, I think you could stretch that, but no. I think so? I think isn't
it our constitutional right to have free speech?
It is a constitutional right, but I don't think putting a warning label on social media infringes upon that right, because you're not taking away anything. You're just warning people. Okay. Now, do I think that this is a good idea? No, I don't think it's. I think it's just hey, let's show that we're doing something so that everybody doesn't scream at us when it goes wrong.
Okay.
You don't think it's a good idea?
No, I think it's dumb.
See, I disagree because this, I'm from the generation where I've been growing up with social media, and personally, I don't ever think that my parents will ever be able to regulate anything of what I'm watching, let alone my 14-year-old
Is a warning label going to affect your ability, or is it going to affect you in using social media?
Because we talked about that last week with Gwen's product, right? The brick, right? So we're spending a lot of time right now. People are spending a lot of time to deplug from their phone.
I really question these things that exist to put into place to do things for us that we can do for ourselves. We're talking about addiction,
self-control. Yeah,
addiction.
Well, it's not just that though. It's just, bringing to light the awareness for the kids.
Do you spend 5 hours on your phone?
Yeah.
Do you really?
I could probably pull up my.
How can you spend 5 hours on your phone?
How do I do this?
So the problems with social media. We talk about it all the time, right, Odie?
Yes.
Have you stopped using social media?
No, but
why not?
I've changed the way that I use social media.
Okay.
Which I noticed that because like I said, I grew up with, just faking your age and then going on there. I've detached I haven't gone out, and a thing that was very popular when I was a kid in elementary school was getting on Facebook, faking your age, and then friending anyone and everyone and having upwards of 200, 300, 400 friends.
Okay.
As a what? 7 year, no, not 7. As an 11-year-old, you don't know that many people in your life.
Correct.
You don't have no reason to have that many friends on Facebook. So I saw that example and I didn't follow it. And it was also something that my dad was the only one who was on Facebook. So he knew that if I ever made an account, I wouldn't, he'd be right there to like watch what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I didn't do. There was also the thing of like constantly posting like every day, if not every hour. I didn't do that. There was no need to.
I remember when Twitter first came out. It was like people were posting, I'm sitting down taking a crap.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this. That's
I remember yes, but this hasn't changed. I don't really think this is going to be especially helpful. I don't think it's going to change people's use of social media. I don't think it's going to.
One extra button you have to hit.
Yeah,
Accept cookies, accept all. Accept now warning that you're going to do this, accept. So you're just going to hit another screen.
We're dealing with it. We're dealing with addictive properties, and we're also dealing with something called situational blindness. We just get desensitized to seeing these things, so we ignore them.
Okay. All right. So, anything else?
I'm for it.
I'm against it.
You walk into a restaurant, the first thing you see is, you must be 21 or older, and as an expectant mother, you should not drink, and here are the reasons why.
Okay.
That doesn't deter everybody, but it gives you a sign of like, hey, this can lead to some bad effects. Is it 100% effective? No, but it definitely gives you like, you can't just be innocent in your drinking as an expectant mother.
So,
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd rather have a warning label than nothing.
So you're just going to click OK every single time you go on a social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to help you.
The first time it comes up, I read it, and then every time I'm gonna, the next time it comes up, I will skip it. But I'm gonna know the first time that I read it. Oh, it's giving me a warning for what I just did.
But is it going to change your overall use over the long term?
Well, I already grew up with this. I
Probably not.
A little from 5 hours to 4.6.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
so to be like, oh, I didn't want to hit
the tobacco, or the government uses this sort of thing to talk about how tobacco usage has dropped to like 24% or some kind of percentage.
But yeah, there's so many.
But if you look at how vaping happens, vaping has risen higher than smoking.
Yeah,
and so now it's just replacing. It doesn't. It seems to me like a useless thing to do.
Okay. Well, not useless though. Story number 3. You got story number 3 for us?
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about black holes.
Okay.
Do you know anything about black holes?
I do not know anything about black holes.
Did you know that most galaxies have a supermassive black hole at the center?
No.
Okay, well, they do. And astronomers just witnessed a whole galaxy turn on the lights in real time, which means that a supermassive black hole in a galaxy labeled SDSS 1335 plus 0728 is waking up.
Okay.
And that is something nobody expected to see.
Okay. So what does that mean? That it's waking up.
What it means when a black hole is waking up, it means it has something to eat.
Okay.
So it has dust or matter that it's consuming, and when it does, it starts emitting energy.
Like starships and
like starships. It emits starships.
Well, I mean, like it sucks in starships, right?
Yeah,
or in like real life.
Yeah,
like
in
stars
Nathan Land,
moons.
in Nathan Land, it sucks in starships. In
Okay.
the science fiction worlds, yes.
Okay.
Anyway, this thing apparently has been dormant for quite a while, and then suddenly, this forgettable space neighborhood, which is about 300 million light years away, threw the lights on. That happened nearly 5 years ago.
Okay. And are we just now seeing it because of the delay in time or something?
The delay in time, yes. And what that means is that this black hole turned on 300 million light years. 300 million years ago, and now we're just starting to
now
see
we
it.
can see it.
Yep. Astronomers believe they just bore witness to a supermassive black hole waking up. Previously, no one had seen one that was arousing as it was happening.
Okay.
Imagine you've been observing a distant galaxy for years, and it's always been calm and inactive. And then suddenly, its core starts showing dramatic changes in brightness, unlike typical events that have been seen before. So this is what happens when it starts eating stuff. It starts throwing off energy, which includes light and other forms of radiation. So black holes are some of the most inscrutable phenomenon in the universe. They don't have surfaces like a planet or a star.
Okay.
Instead, they have they have a boundary called the event horizon, and that's not the movie.
I was gonna say there's
Not
a movie that I saw.
Yeah, not the movie.
That was an okay movie.
Or a point of no return. That what the event horizon is the boundary of which light escapes.
Okay.
Or not light, but everything can't escape the gravity well of the here I am just not being able to talk. If anything swoops in too close, it will fall in and it will never be able to escape that gravitational pull.
Okay.
The team that discovered it,
unless you're Leonard Nimoy and you're Spock, and then you can go on in and take that fusion core and reset it, and then you can get the Enterprise out in time.
Yeah, that wasn't a black hole. That was a Genesis device.
Okay.
Get your movies straight.
Okay, all right.
It happened in Star Wars.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah. In Solo.
Okay, did it?
The team plans to commit continuous research to rule out other potential explanations. They're not quite sure that this is what's going on, but they are thinking that's what's happening. Some have suggested the brightening of the galaxy could be the result of an abnormally long tidal disruption event, which happens when a star strays too close to a black hole and is shredded violently, or perhaps the cause of some other never before documented phenomenon waiting to be discovered. Regardless of the nature of the variations, the distant galaxy is providing valuable information on how black holes grow and evolve.
Okay.
So
That'd be kind of cool, though, if you're, I guess, a scientist and you see this distance and you don't see nothing, and all of a sudden, like, it's like really bright and things are going, and you're like, oh, look at what just happened. You probably are recording it here on Earth, so you could probably go back with the video recording and look at like the day that it happened previously on what happened and probably put the story together, I would expect.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what astronomers do, right? They spend their time pointing their telescopes at stars and taking readings and getting information. And so now we have this
technology,
300 million light year away galaxy. We're talking a galaxy, not just a star. Just lit up like a Christmas tree. So I mean, in the world of astronomy, that's super exciting.
Could be the planet Vulcan.
It obviously is not that exciting in the Nathan Land.
No, I mean, that is exciting. I mean, how are you going to have the Vulcans? They have to have some planet they live on, right?
I don't know, but I think you're mixing up your things.
Like my sci-fi stories.
Yeah, you're really just
lumping
everything
on
into
the new Star Trek series, the J.J. Abrams one. I mean, like,
they
Vulcan
took
gets destroyed.
What
because that big ship comes on in,
red matter or whatever, and
comes on in. Yeah.
Created a black hole inside of Vulcan and
then
swallowed it up.
Yeah,
okay, that's what's going on right there.
There you go. I'll tell you a little bit more about flat Earth a little bit later off the line. All right, here we go. That ends our top technology stories of the week. When we return, we have Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics. He'll be joining us to discuss cybercrime, AI takeovers, data breaches, and all these great things these countries are doing. You're going to be excited about this. Start your drinking now. You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. We'll be back after the commercial break.
This is Mark
and Greg
for Copiers Northwest
with a terrific offer
called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner,
one of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service
as long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers
or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives
and let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
Well, welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Our show covers the top technology subjects without any political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and of course, with a little whiskey on the side. Today, Mark Gregoire, whiskey connoisseur, is in studio. Mark, what are we tasting today?
Well, gentlemen, it's a mouthful today. It's Angel's Envy. This is a 2022 cask strength bourbon whiskey finished in port barrel wine.
Oh, finished in port barrel wine.
Or
what does that mean?
Port wine barrels.
Port wine barrels.
Okay, what does that mean?
That means they finish it in port wine barrels.
Well, that means that they take.
That means you got to wait for the mumble to explain it.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me a little bit more about this.
Well, let's say from Angel's Envy's website, made from some of the most distinctive barrels in their rickhouse, aged for up to 14 additional months in port wine casks. It's one of our most popular and critical acclaimed whiskey collections. The 2022 release has notes of apple, caramel, brown sugar. The creaminess pairs with orange from the nose, creating a dessert-like richness. Vanilla, toasted oak, and black pepper spice round it out. This is from Bacardi Limited. It's bottled in Kentucky. It's finished bourbon is the classification, since, as we mentioned, it's bourbon, and then they finish it 14 months in a different secondary barrel.
All right. How much does this cost?
Well, it's 120 proof.
Okay.
Well, 119.8. It's 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% malted barley.
Okay. How much does it cost?
All right. So MSRP on this is $230, and the secondary can ranges generally from $350 to $650.
Oh.
And yeah, that's not
the poor Mumm family had like $100 just drinking poor Mark's sampling that.
Well, luckily I got this for under MSRP.
Okay. All right. This is really good stuff.
And it's not going to be on Nathan's shelf.
This is on my top shelf. Top shelf.
It
has, as we'll see in the next segment, it has a very pretty box it comes in.
It does. I called it the coffin.
A coffin.
Yeah, well, it looks kind of like a coffin. You lay it the rest in there.
You know, when I look at that, I'm not sure how you come to that conclusion, but you know, hey.
Okay, all right.
If you look at the box and the first thing you think is a coffin,
for all your listeners and
there might be something
out there,
going on there.
Yeah.
A quick reminder: heaven can wait. Drink responsibly.
Oh,
that's a little saying from Angel's Envy here.
Oh, heaven can wait. Okay, is that their little tagline?
That is their little tagline.
I like that.
And yet you think it's still a coffin, so maybe there's something going on.
Well, maybe there is heaven, and no, maybe I'm a little bit on top of it.
I don't know. Maybe you're just going to drink too much of it.
All right. Okay, here we go. With our first whiskey tasting complete, let's move on to our feature segment. Today, our technology expert, Nick Espinosa, is joining the show. Nick is our expert in cybersecurity and network infrastructure. He's consulted with clients ranging from small business to the Fortune 100 level. 1998, at the age of 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks, which was later acquired in 2015. He then created Security Fanatics, where he is the chief security fanatic. We welcome Nick to the Comcast video stream to start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts.
Hey guys.
Our TechTime Radio expert, Nick Espinosa.
All right, Nick, glad you could make it. You know what? When someone sends you a an email that says there's supposed to be a link attached. Hopefully, next time he makes sure he
You're
attached there.
just gonna.
I'll call myself out there. I told him we're ready to go. I even sent him meeting notes, a little bit what we talk about, and forgot to send him the link. So that makes it a little tough to get
all
on.
good. All good.
You got in here. All right, Nick, where have you been? I've been following you online, but for those that haven't been following you online or know what's going on, where have you been with your recent travels?
Yeah. So I just spent about 7-8 days in Venice, Italy, which is a fantastic place to be to have a conference. I was at the Privacy Symposium talking to the heads of the data protection authorities across Europe, as well as others as well. I was talking about biometric privacy and security, as well as quantum encryption. So it was a pretty heady group, and I had a great time. Plus, I OD'd on seafood because, like, how can you not? When you're in Italy, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're kind of lucky being here in Seattle because we got Dungeness crab, we got Alaskan king crab, so we have a pretty good seafood selection. I don't know how people live in Middle America, like Kansas City and those places. That's where they like beef. That's it.
Beef.
All right, okay, Nick. Well, so besides the symposium, what is going on right now with Microsoft and Recall? This application, we talked about it when you were on our show last. We talked about it when they announced it. What is going on? Is this Recall application that Microsoft is touting, this new AI ability to go back and see what you did an hour ago, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago? Is it really working the way that it was intended to?
Yeah, so this is essentially a hot mess and a privacy nightmare all rolled into one big Microsoft ball. And so here's what's happening in the last couple of weeks. Cybersecurity researchers have pointed out that essentially the one safeguard that Microsoft basically said that it had at this point essentially was easy to exploit. And so the only barrier that they really seemed to have was essentially that if you wanted to access the recall data, meaning all those snapshots and screenshots of your password manager, your intimate Word documents, wherever you're going at 3 a.m. online, I don't want to know. All of that, essentially, according to them, required administrative privileges on the person's computer. So if you're sitting down at a friend's computer, you'd have to have admin rights. And so essentially what that meant, or what Microsoft was saying, was that if you, let's say, got malware installed into the computer, without that high-level privilege to trigger like basically a prompt to say, hey, type in a username and password to access recall, the malware would be blocked. But now we're finding that's not true, because a couple of weeks ago, Google's Project Zero researcher, his name is James Forshaw, he basically published an update to a blog post pointing out that he had found methods for actually bypassing that and accessing recall data without administrative privileges. And so by virtue of that, he described 2 different techniques to bypass the administrative privileges. Now, one of them is a more complex technique. I'm not going to get into that. But the other one is like stupid simple. And interestingly enough, it's something that we in cybersecurity and also IT do all the time to actually gain access or regain access to a folder when the permissions get screwed up. And so because the recall data is actually stored on your computer and it belongs to a user, any kind of hacker with the same privileges, meaning they can set up their own account, can simply go to the folder and change the permissions. Meaning,
oh no, are you seriously saying that like I can go into file manager and it's permissions /administrator. I find that file manager. I change that permissions from user X to whatever I am locally to everyone is one of the deal. And then everybody has access to it.
Exactly. And that's something we've been doing for years. Like, oh, somebody screwed up on the permissions. You go in as administrator and then you wipe out the old ones and you overwrite them with new ones. And Forshaw is basically like, yeah, we can do this all day long. So this is a massive problem that we've got. On top of it, somebody released a hacking utility to basically make it click, click, go. So this is obviously a huge issue for Microsoft, not to mention the sheer privacy nightmare that this is, because if an attacker does get in and steals this, again, they've got screenshots of your entire life going back literally months. So every time you open up that password manager, it's probably there because nobody's going to exclude it. Everybody's going to use the default because that's what like 99% of the users do.
So let me just tell you, recall is going to be the next Windows 8.
I got my fingers in my ears and I'm going la 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 because I don't want to.
I mean that's pretty basic. That's pretty basic there. That's I don't understand the whole idea why people wanted recall. I mean, I just don't get. I don't know who was that clamoring person that said, "Geez, I forgot what I was doing."
I can tell you
45 minutes. Who was that?
I can tell you that.
His name was Bob.
most of the planet that does not understand privacy and the violation that this potentially is. I mean, think about it. Let's say you're into cooking, okay, whatever you're into, underwater basket weaving. But let's say cooking, and you say, what was that recipe for that baking, that cake, or that steak recipe, or whatever it is, and you can go into the index and type in like steak recipe, and boom, Recall will find it for you. It'll pull it up, and you're like, oh yeah, like 72 days ago you opened up this website and looked at this recipe, and now it's at your fingertips. And so you don't have to remember the 8,000 websites you've been to. It does it for you. That's a really convenient feature. It's just wildly insecure from what we're now learning. So it's absolutely nuts. But most people will use it, and then what'll happen is they'll set it and forget it, not think about this, and it'll become integrated into their lives. And so if Microsoft decides to pull the plug on it, there'll be an uproar. But it's a huge problem. It really is.
All right. So is Microsoft doing anything to fix this mess?
So as far as we know, yes, because as soon as they hear about these things, they're going to fix it. But again, this is a cat and mouse game in cybersecurity. Somebody hacks in and innovates around the security solution. It gets figured out, defenses are created, and then somebody innovates around it again. This is literally since the beginning of time, since siege warfare or before, right? You build a castle wall, somebody builds a trebuchet, and here we are. So this is going to be a nonstop issue that we've got. And the only encryption they say is on BitLocker, which is absolutely useless when the computer is turned on. It's only when the computer is off. If it's stolen, you're good. But if you're online and get hit and somebody installs something illegal, you're in trouble.
Now, okay, so one more question for the uninformed of us. Is this something that Microsoft would have known about? Meaning they could have taken steps to create more security around it?
Right. So understand the position that Microsoft and Google and Facebook and all the big platforms are in, including Apple. They have to balance the security standards with the usability. So, for example, when you sign up for Facebook, why do they not immediately force you to do multi-factor authentication? Because it would turn off a significant portion of the user community. So they make it as easy as possible for you to sign up. In the same way that Microsoft is essentially catering to that lowest common denominator in this sense. Now, that said, Facebook, for example, gives you more advanced security options if you know where to go, if you're interested in actually securing your Facebook. And so in that vein, Microsoft will continue to develop security controls that, one, will constantly be innovated around. So they're constantly updating these things. And two, they're not going to be on by default. Again, they're trying to integrate this into your life as the next evolution of artificial intelligence, memory, and usability for a computer. So why on earth would they make you jump through hoops to start using it?
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's move on to our next subject.
Let's do it.
Let's switch to Amazon. You excited about this? We've been really quiet on the AI front. I'm sure they must be doing really well on that. Or maybe they're doing a little too well. We have an issue coming up here with Russia and facial recognition technology. Nick, can you get the listeners up to speed on what's going on here?
Yeah, so this one honestly grinds my gears a little bit. So Amazon, it basically has been accused of selling their facial recognition technology, it's known as Recognition, to Russia. And so here's what happened. An ex-employee, former employee, has accused his former employer, Amazon, of actually breaching UK sanctions, that's United Kingdom, by selling facial recognition technology to Moscow, basically. And this is after the invasion of Ukraine, where there's sanctions from the US, Europe, UK, everybody sanctioning Russia. And so Amazon technically shouldn't be doing this. Now, the employee, his name is Charles Forrest. He alleged that essentially he was, just to be fair to Amazon, was unfairly dismissed in 2023 and then accused Amazon of wrongdoing on a ton of issues between November of 2022 through May of 2023. Now, those allegations were presented essentially in a tribunal in London as part of his hearing. And he said that Amazon essentially closed a deal with Vision Labs to provide access to its recognition facial technology. Now, Vision Labs is apparently a Russian firm that is working out of Western Europe. So it's sitting in like the Netherlands or Belgium. And so by virtue of that, Amazon has the ability to say, well, we're not selling to the Russians. We're selling to Vision Labs, a company that is possibly Dutch. when it's actually owned by the Russians. And so by virtue of that, that's essentially what we're talking about. Now, Amazon obviously denies this, but there's going to be a paper trail. And interestingly enough, there's a lot of information that has been made public by the court and tribunal system in the UK that anybody can go check out to see and look at these accusations or understand who Vision Labs is. But it definitely looks like Amazon is giving it to the Russians. That's my opinion.
Wow. And here I was just talking about how Amazon hasn't even been in the news lately.
There you go. Well, you know what? We can't end the segment without a little bit of news from Nick's favorite country, China. I hear China has figured out, that's my buddy, figured out how to get around U.S. sanctions on technology. What's going on this story, Nick?
Oh, Lordy Lord. I can't believe this one. So this is recent news. Mind you, this is all like in the last week or so. So anyway, here's what's going on. So Chinese companies are blocked from getting essentially their hands on the cutting edge US-based artificial intelligence chips, like these high-powered processors. And they've reportedly simply just been buying access to all of this sanctioned and denied technology for them on US soil, so they're not raising alarms. So instead of going to the NVIDIAs of the world and saying, yeah, we'd like 7,000 of your most powerful chips, please send them to Beijing, care of, Xi Jinping, they're saying, hey, we'll just rent space in the United States and call it a day. Now, Alibaba, Tencent, and others have reportedly been in talks with NVIDIA about obtaining in some way, shape, or form, this export-controlled, chips and silicon. And so by virtue of that, they're talking about using it at data centers that would operate in the United States. China Telecom as well is reportedly in talks with cloud providers to access their high-performance AI hardware as well. And so it basically sounds like Alibaba, Tencent, and China Telecom want to essentially either rent or purchase all of this advanced American hardware to use within the United States. And so it doesn't blatantly just bust US government sanctions. And of course, we got to throw TikTok in there because TikTok is TikTok.
That's my app, baby.
So their parent company, ByteDance, is that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So our homeboys over at ByteDance, owner of TikTok, have also been caught up in this as well because they've basically been getting it from U.S. infrastructure provider Oracle. There you go. I mean, Larry Ellison has to buy another Hawaiian island, right?
That's right, or new yacht. So
they've been getting it from Oracle, and now TikTok, ByteDance, they've been reportedly renting access to some of NVIDIA's most highest performing chips via Oracle. And so I think we've got a huge issue, and where our export controls basically say you can't ship it and, no FedExing to Beijing. Well, if they're using it here, I mean, what's the difference, right? They can process all their stuff, do their espionage on U.S. soil, cuts down on supply chain. So
isn't this kind of what they did with the Xbox when the Xbox came out and they were just buying Xboxes just for the processors?
Well, so this happens. This happens all the time where you get a great processor with it. It has probably a lot of safeguards not necessarily in place so that they can then exploit it. That's the original Xbox. The reason it became successful was you could mod it, you could do whatever you wanted. XBMC could load media files on it and play it, and it gets things taken care of.
And
All right, Nick. What's that?
No, I was going to say when PlayStation 3 came out, literally universities were building like low-end supercomputers just by buying a whole bunch of PlayStations and chaining them together, and everybody was getting PlayStations. I mean, the Japanese sell them to everybody, right? So, it's a huge thing. It's a nonstop issue, but it's just a massive loophole that we have to deal with. So
maybe we should put a warning label on all that stuff.
You should put a warning label on it when you click on it.
Maybe watermarking serial numbers. That would be nice.
That's all right. Although we know what during our commercial break, we did find out that Odie spent 9 hours on her iPhone and iPad.
9 hours
yesterday.
Wow.
So
you know how many hours I spent on
I don't even have that many hours awake.
Whoa. Average.
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 Okay.
I averaged 2 hours and 30 minutes on mine, and that's when I travel back and forth between my office and home.
Okay.
When I'm listening to podcasts.
Well, Nick, thank you for coming on the show. How can other people get in touch with you? Where can they find you online?
Yeah. You can share, follow me at Nick AESP on LinkedIn, social media, all that kind of stuff, or /Nick Espinosa on YouTube. Feel free to come say hi and hang out.
Are you still on X? Are you still on X too?
Twitter, yes.
Are you sure? They changed it to X.com now. You can't go to Twitter.com anymore, right?
Fair enough. But to be fair, I only post on X the angriest things I have to say that day. So
okay.
Thanks, Nick.
Kind of like Elon. All
I always
right.
love having Nick around. I just hate listening to what he has to say.
That's all right. All right. Well, that ends our Ask the Expert with Nick Espinosa. Up next, we have This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as I will be doing so during the break. You're listening to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
Join the fun and grab tickets to GeekFest West, the 3-day Geek Festival extravaganza of fun and entertainment that will take place on the third weekend in July. Learn more at geekfest.com. GeekFest will feature diverse activities, including a film festival, vendor hall, street fair, outdoor music festival, cosmic cosplay, and video game tournaments. Join us at GeekFest West, the ultimate celebration of geek culture. To learn more, visit geekfest.com. That is geekfest.com.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right, we're going back to June 17th, 1997. The DES was cracked. A group of users organized on the internet cracked the data encryption standard, the strongest legally exportable encryption software in the United States, to the point after only 5 months of work where it had been compromised. The United States at the same time banned the export of stronger encryption software out of fear that it would be easy for terrorists to break into. The companies designed software claiming such restrictions were worthless because of foreign countries didn't have such strong programs. The U.S. eventually relaxed certain restrictions, but to this day still claim to have the authority over encryption technologies under the Commerce case. Now the DES is dead, but we now have the AES, which supersides the DES, which was published by NIST in 2001. So what this is this is an encryption code that the United States government came out with originally. They said this is the maximum security encryption we need. No one will be able to break into it. It was 56 characters at the time. This is going to be the best. And what happened is a bunch of people got it together. This is early days, 1997.
Yeah.
This is early internet days.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even very organized. You had to be on a bulletin board service to hear about this and another one. And they essentially cracked it in the matter of 5 months of coming on out. And then what they did is they went back into it and figured that they could do it within 22 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. And Nick, that's why Nick's talking about quantum
encryption. That's right. Well, that was This Week in Technology. If you ever wanted to watch some Tech Time history with over 200 weekly broadcasts spanning 5 years of video, podcasts, and blog information, you can visit us at techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have the Mark Mumble Whiskey Review. See you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
All right. We are celebrating June 18th with a nice bottle of whiskey today. What is today?
June 18th? I have no idea. What's June 18th?
It's the day before
You want a hint?
19th.
What's the hint?
Splurging on Prada, splurging on Gucci, splurging on Balenciaga. Splurging on Prada.
Get your money clip. Get your credit cards ready for today is National Splurge Day.
National Splurge Day. Okay.
Thank you, Odie, for Little Pump over there.
Lil Pump. R.I.P. Oh, no.
Little Pump.
Yeah.
Was that Little Pump?
Lil Pump.
Okay.
L-I-L.
L-I-L?
L-I-L Pump.
Okay.
All right.
Mark is learning you about rap people.
Yeah, Mark must have like this whole rap collection at home.
Anyway,
he gets in his thing and thumps his way out of here.
I'd love to tell you about National Splurge Day. So a little careful splurging, never harmed anyone, is good for the soul too. This is why we celebrate National Splurge Day in style each year. Held to encourage us, you guessed it, crack open our wallets and splurge. What are you waiting for? Go spend a little money. If you need an idea, you can support Tech Time Radio through Patreon or the YouTube channel.
Oh, I like that.
That's a nice splurge.
There you go.
So let's talk about the bourbon we splurged on here today.
That's good.
Angel's Envy was founded by Bourbon Hall Fame member and master distiller Lincoln Henderson and his son Wes Henderson. Angel's Envy innovated the foundations of bourbon and rye through a unique secondary finishing technique. By maturing the whiskey in charred oak barrels and transferring it to a secondary finishing cask, they crafted a distinct blend of refined complexity with inviting flavor profile. During the aging process, the 5% of spirit lost each year is known as the Angel Share. After tasting this finished whiskey, Lincoln Henderson joked that he had finally struck a better deal than the Angels. And so, Angel's Envy was born. Now, I'm generally not a finished bourbon person. The regular offering of this at the lower proof I find too sweet with a slight off-putting flavor. This expression is a whole nother level. When I tried this at a bar, I knew I wanted it on my shelf. The cask strength expression holds up to the finish in port wine barrels with the best of both worlds coming through.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty damn good.
It's really good. Yes, it is. It's very good. Did you please? Is damn okay to say?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Pretty damn good.
Damn. All right. Okay. Well, you know what?
Holy.
Just like whiskey and technology are such a great pairing. Just like going out in the summer, playing in the creek, followed by a little swimmer's itch. Did you ever do that as a kid?
What are you talking
those
about?
Are two good pairings.
Oh,
all right.
Swimmer's itch?
Yeah, you remember swimmer's itch and you go play in the thing?
No, not with this.
I didn't have the same childhood you
All right,
did.
let's prepare for our technology fail of the week.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure. Oh. I failed. Did I? Yes. Did I? Yes. Did I? Yes.
All right. Well, this week's failure comes to us from the 1839 Awards Color Photography Contest in the subject of AI category. After an image of a headless flamingo placed on the international competition for AI-generated photography, its creator revealed his secret to success. The photo was real. Artist Mile Ashtray, that's his name, snapped the image in Aruba after waking up at the break of dawn to visit a beach populated by flamingos. When he captured one of the birds, contouring its long neck to scratch itself with its beak, the resulting image resembled a ball of pink feathers on legs. Ashtray made
Astray. That's Miles Astray.
Miles, is that Ashtray or Astray?
Astray. Miles Astray. It's a pseudonym.
Okay. Made a minimum adjustments to the photo. He didn't process the image only to correct whatever the camera didn't capture naturally. And he essentially tells Forbes Leslie Katz that he likes to show the world as it is. The flamingo did not look real because of the angle. It appeared to be headless. Such descriptions as wonky autonomy have been trademark of AI-generated images. After examining the photo, Astray had an idea. He submitted the image to the 1984 Color Photography Contest, judged by jurors from Christie, Getty Image, and New York Times, and other high-profile organizations in the AI category. Now, the question is, though, it's unknown if Miles will have to return the award as the AI competition is pink with envy. Dun, dun, dun.
That would be green, not pink.
Okay, it would be green. Well, the pink is for the pink flamingo. To get it,
Do you think he needs to return his award?
Well, I don't know. It's an AI-generated contest. You submit. So, I mean, this is going to be happening for years to come. Are we going to know the difference between AI-generated and real photography? I'm kind of at the point where I don't really care. If it's AI generated and it's got 7 fingers, that's kind of funny. I just laugh at it and say, okay, somebody's going to put a 7-finger character in something. I get it. But I don't think, I don't know what his intent was to do. Was he trying to say that AI generated, so he had a weird picture. Was he trying to say that weird picture generated enough
he might
interest?
have been saying that truth is stranger than fiction.
Okay. And that could be the truth of what was going on there. Should he return the award?
Yeah, because it wasn't AI generated.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right.
You know, he didn't win it authentically.
You can go and find it online right now if you go to take a look at Mingone, Amingone, for essentially the photograph that was there. All right. Well, you know what? Looks like we're coming to our end of our show. We're going to need to move into our pick of the day whiskey tasting.
And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
All right, here you go.
Nathan, hold up the box for the camera for the YouTube
All right,
people.
so then, this is the box.
The coffin.
Here. Well, this looks like a coffin. Let me just say
It is
right here.
pretty heavy.
You have a very interesting way of looking at things. And
so as you open this, you lay essentially your alcohol out. And look at that right there. That looks like a casket.
It looks like a display box.
No, it looks like a casket.
Beautiful wings on the backside. All right, Angel's Envy 2022 cast strength bourbon whiskey finish in port wine barrels.
That's a cast.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, definitely a thumbs up. I mean, this stuff is great.
Mike?
I can't believe that you offered to give me the bottle on the way home. I appreciate that very much. So thank you.
I must have been drunk when I said that.
That's all right. Well, everybody, we enjoyed having you on the show as much as hopefully you enjoyed listening to us. Remember, the technology of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. See you next week.
What happened to your old one?
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Time Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.